think that you're out of your mind.
Everything you know is wrong.
Everyone who has a dog thinks they know what their dog is thinking. Dog lovers always talk about what their dog's bark means or what that particular whine means. They think they know when their dog is begging for food or asking to go outside for a romp around the yard. But knowing what a dog is really thinking is a lot harder and a lot more complex than most people realize. So if you think you really know what your pampered pooch is thinking, then everything you know is wrong. Joining me now is Dr. Deborah Horwitz, a veterinary behaviorist and author of the book Decoding Your Dog. The ultimate experts explain common dog behaviors and reveal how to prevent or change unwanted ones. Dr. Horwitz, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Why is understanding animal behavior so complex?
It's not really that complex, but one of the problems that we have is we look at the world from our point of view, and we don't necessarily know what the other point of view is of the dog unless we study them, which I do, and my colleagues from the American College of Veterinary Behaviorists do as well. I am the editor, one of the editors of the book Decoding Your Dog, and all the chapters have been written by my colleagues who are specialists in animal behavior. And we spend the entire book helping you understand exactly what your dog is telling you when they do things, when they bark at you, when they're destructive, when you go away.
I'm curious your thoughts on popular dog training techniques, from the monks of New Skeet, you know, of flipping the dog on his back and establishing dominance and all that kind of thing, to crating and some of these sort of fads that are out and around.
Well, we know a lot about dog behavior now that is very important to get out there for the public to understand. First of all, that theory that dogs are like wolves and that you need to be alpha and be stronger and flip them on their back is actually outdated and not really true. That came from information that was taken from watching captive wolves that fought a lot with each other over resources and food. But then when people went and watched wolves that lived in the wild, in the natural environment, they actually acted like a family. There was a mother wolf and a father wolf, and they were very cooperative. So if that alpha stuff doesn't apply to wolves, then it certainly doesn't apply to dogs. More than anything, all our dogs want us to do is be clear about what we expect of them. And if you think about what works best for you when you want to learn something new, is it the carrot or the stick? Well, the carrot usually works best. And that's true in changing your dog behavior as well.
What are the most commonly misunderstood cues that dogs are trying to send us?
I think one of the most misunderstood cues is people not knowing when dogs are anxious or afraid. And so when dogs are anxious or afraid, they really have limited ways of letting us know. And they let us know with their face, with their eyes, with their body, and their tail. And they may do things like growl at us, or turn their head away, or tuck their tail. And that dog in that picture that you have up there, they're showing us that maybe I'm not sure about what you're saying to me, I'm not sure what you're going to do, and I'm a little bit frightened and anxious. And when we see that, we really need to step back and realize, well, maybe I'm just not being clear. That dog right now, he's really happy. He looks pretty good.
Yeah. So how should we respond when we're getting the feedback from our dog that he or she is anxious or afraid?
The first thing to do is to look at the situation from your dog's point of view. For example, many people like to take their dogs to the dog park. But when they get there, their dog barks and lunges at everybody, and maybe they don't want to go to the dog park. Maybe they're not being unfriendly, but rather they're saying, you know, this rotating cast of characters here in the dog park is too much for me. I'd like to play with one dog at a time. Sort of like we might like to go out to lunch with one or two friends, but we don't necessarily want them to bring along 6 or 7 people that we've never met. Or if our dog is unwilling to enter the house with a bunch of new people they've never met before, then we might have to understand that our dog isn't comfortable being in crowds of people that they don't know. Just like us, they're individuals. It doesn't mean we can't teach them how to be comfortable at the dog park or a group of people they haven't met, but we have to understand that we need to take time and explain to them how we want them to behave, what the consequences are, and most importantly, that they're safe. We got their back, and we're not going to hurt them.
Fascinating stuff. Dr. Deborah Horwitz, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Now everything you know about man's best friend is right. Crazy alert, a Cairo conspiracy. Back in 2008, one clever entrepreneur with an ironic sense of humor started selling Stuart Colbert 08 t-shirts online. The joke was obvious but funny. Jon Stewart would probably do a better job running the country than many of the main